Welcome back. Well, let's focus on Redington. The company delivered its set of numbers. The problem, I think, is that the street wants to see better margins coming out of them. So to understand what's the way ahead, how is the mix changing, we're joined by Mr. Ramesh Natarajan, who is the CEO of Redington. Hi, Mr. Natarajan. Good morning and good to see you in. Thanks so much for speaking to us here on CNBC TV 18. Well, Mr. Natarajan, growth for the year so far has been in mid-teens. Could you tell us for FY25, let's keep Q4 aside, but on the whatever base you deliver for this year, what kind of a revenue growth are you looking at? And margins as well, they're yet to visit that 3% yet again. Is there a plan to improve profitability? Because the street is focusing on that aspect.
Great. Thanks for having me on this show, Nikhil and Mangalam. The growth prospect for FY25, the way we see is surely optimistic. I think the IT landscape across the country, as well as across the emerging markets we operate, have a very good bend of digitalization that's happening across, and a whole lot of new innovative IT consumption models that are coming across is automatically lending towards a growth across all segments and verticals. From the margin perspective, we rather see this as a normalization of working capital. If you look at the year on year, when demand was chasing the supply, the stocks would come and go. And today, when the supplies are good, the demands are normalized now, you obviously see a good lot of working capital days that has gone up, which probably is one of the good reasons that why you see a decline on margins. And also the other factor is seasonality that predominantly happens for Q3. But nevertheless, looking at the next year, we do have a whole lot of GTM initiatives that we are cutting across mid-market, across the rural economies, and a lot of small incubations and pilots that we're doing, cutting across all the three diversified portfolios that we have, whether it's computing devices or the enterprise products of networking, software, security, specifically on cloud, and of course the mobility. We see a lot of new GTMs that we are working across will lend itself for a higher margin from our side. And so impose the last 17 years post we going public, the way we have been performing at a 15% growth in revenue, a 16% growth in our operating profit, and I guess it's about 18% growth in PAT, would definitely have its own fabric and landscape moving into the future also.
All right. So we will, monitor the growth as you are promising with all the, verticals that you are moving and the options that you're seeding as well. But just if you could quantify, the street was hoping for margins upwards of 3%. Is that base case for you for the next year with all these plans that you're doing? And the revenue growth itself, there are problems in Africa. Cloud is growing, but it's just about 3.5% of your revenues. So given all these things, what can revenue growth be the next year? Are you targeting the 15% historical CAGR that you're talking about?
Yes, in the sense of there are high growth markets, let's say like India, KSA, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and the Middle East. And there are some call-out markets that we wanted to be a little more caution, which is towards, say, Africa and South Asia, where you see your economic cycles. Though the GDPs are good, but the dollar liquidity and a lot of inflations would play around. So you have some markets, emerging markets, that would take a little bit of a backseat from our objective, but keep focused on it so that when it turns around, we're always there. But the good markets, high growth markets between India as well as KSA and Middle East will be high growth markets for us. And all customer segments across, we see growth possibilities. And we would definitely, moving forward, continue to drive a double-digit growth objectives on the revenue.
That's good. We have got, Mr. Natarajan, we are happy that at least we have got that top line, at least a double-digit revenue growth. Now we're getting to the point that you were going to, the margins. Please go ahead. Give us a rough answer.
Yeah, you see, if you look at operating profit, we would continue to sustain the growth of our operating profits, as well as at PAT, not exceeding where we are. We would love to move towards currently hovering at 1.5%. our efforts are always to try and bring in new initiatives that will drive the margins up. If you look at our mix of products, that would be between different portfolios, between computing devices, or you look at the enterprise. Enterprise is doing well. There's been a good growth of margins on the enterprise. Mobility has been a good turnaround in terms of producing a great ROCE. There are professional services on the cloud, some part of managed services that we're slowly building up that portfolio, which would help us expand the gross margins that would hopefully drive the margins up. Sustainable margins post-COVID and post the demand supply is coming back to normalcy. And from here, we would only take all efforts to try and run the margins up. And the mix of product portfolios and the services slowly coming inside, we are confident with all the segments of the market that we're addressing. There are three different sales engines that we would look between field sales, tele-sales, and digital sales. Our investments towards digital platform and cloud platform, augmenting subscription, annuities, renewals across
Right.
different consumption models, we are hopeful will drive our margin landscape up.
All right. Thanks a lot, Mr. Natarajan, for joining in. We wish to, speak a little more about all the other verticals as well, but due to paucity of time, we'll keep this conversation to what we've spoken so
Thanks
far.
so
Wish you
much.
good luck for double-digit revenue growth and improvement in margins for the next year as well. But with that,